Dear Seeker, it's a pleasure to meet you, to talk to you as a doctor of modern medicine, how I came into numerology. Well, how can your name influence your life? That's a $1,000,000 question that every one of us have. I too had it. My birth name is Satish Kumar, and I had wonderful experiences with that name. I reached many beautiful levels of creativity and success. In fact, in my college days, I used to equate S with success, S with so many positive things like smile and all the values that I cherished. And of course, Satish was for style. Well, I had initial inklings that I should change my name by certain numerologists, but I believed in hard work, and I believed that name cannot be a way, or it can definitely not contribute something to one's personal success. That was my clear understanding, and so I resisted. Now I stand at a point as a doctor. If somebody is suffering with lots of ill health, ill luck, and so many other negatives, I would definitely scan the name. And now I feel it's like asking if the projector's lens has any role to play in the quality of the projected film. Well, that's the power of the name. The name focuses the energies of the universe. And this basic understanding I have not been given. And now I'm in a position to give to my people who come trusting me for permanent solutions. And that's where I stand as a doctor recommending numerology. Though at first glance this may appear like a hocus pocus science or a parascience or frankly a quackery, well, it is not. This is a word that I give after being, thankfully, a modern medical doctor. The power of numerology, or the power of name, can be understood now easily because we are standing in the time frame where we have the knowledge of genetics and a science that is breaking all the norms called epigenetics, because scientists have understood that the genes is just a reflection and a collection of information, but the collection of information does not decide what information is expressed in the cells. It is the surroundings. It is the epi. Epi means around. So, what are the factors that are present around the genes, in the cells, in the cytoplasmic zone, and immediately next to the cells, the extracellular space, and then out of the body, that is just adjacent to the body physiology, what we are exposed, the environment, the external environment. All these things, of course, are the reality that helps or inhibits the expression of certain genetic traits through the DNA. Now, the interesting thing is all these things we see as visible part of the expressed world. But we know that whatever we see is not the only factors that are around the genes. In fact, the basic reality of all the material universe, of the physical reality, is in the frequencies. And in fact, the quantum science says that the material reality itself is Maya, maybe present or not. So what is the basic substratum? It is the frequencies. Even the electrons, the protons, all are vibrations, and they just appear and disappear in a quantum observation. So it is the knowledge that frequencies are the structuring dynamics of the so-called matter. If it is so, what surrounds the genes in terms of physical structures is of course there, but more subtler is the frequencies that surround the genetic machinery, or in fact even the genes is nothing but a sort of vibration, and these vibrations are influenced deeply by the name or the sound vibration that we are exposed to most often. Well, this is where epigenetics, the science of how the genes are influenced by the environment, including the frequencies of one's most personal nature, is actually the cause of the effect of name on a person's life in every aspect. A new understanding has emerged, which has been the call of the times. As I was in search for understanding how numerology affects us, I came across discoveries that satisfied my thirst for knowledge. My first visit to certain very meticulous numerologists were really amazing experiences, because as I was asking the questions, the answers emerged from somewhere, not from the person whom I expected. One of the first numerologists whom I met, I inquired him, if you are an Indian and that too being Tamilian, why do you use English as the language to calculate and arrive at a proper name? I would have respected the science more if you, being an Indian, used Sanskrit or Tamil, because you are talking from the language of planets and all these calculations are in Tamil. How do you really bring in English? And the way he answered was not convincing to me. What he told was, well, doctor, you see, because all of us use English. English is a common language. And though I was taken aback and sort of felt a childhood sort of response, a childish response to my serious question, but nevertheless he had a truth in it. That senior numerologist had truth in his words, because I just started moving ahead and asking why English is the most common language and now it's spreading so much. And we know that Kali Yuga is the time when everything is returning, your karma is returning, and so whatever bad you visualized or did, it's all coming back now. And then I had the correlation. So English, could it be the force that is bringing back the karmas to us? And Sanskrit, could it be the evolutionary force that helps you build up good or bad karmas? Or it can take you to moksha. So it is something, an ascending pathway, the Sanskrit, and the descending pathway from the heavens could be English. So then the question of what language is your fate written is being revealed now. the fate has been written in English, and as it is told, it's written in your forehead, that means almost in your prefrontal cortex. And if so, the language that it is used, like you have the computer language, BASIC, COBOL, Oracle, and all this for writing the softwares, programs. Here we have the language of English made with English alphabets, and your karma returns with the vowels and the consonants of the English alphabets. And it comes primarily through your name, because vibrations, the gaps between the alphabets, determine your mind. Mind is the one that gives directions to your life and to your body, means through the body your life it affects. So the mind is nothing but the aggregation of certain frequencies that will modulate your experiences. So if you change the alphabets, not just the calling sounds, if you change the alphabets in your names, and if it is in attunement with the purpose of your birth as determined by the date of birth, that means a date in which you are exposed to this cycle of events as an individual, your birth date, if these both frequencies are in sync, that is the goodness that you could experience. If these are out of sync, again your purpose and your karma are not matching, and that will give rise to pain and suffering and problems and delays.
Well,
so here
let's
we have
see about
a wonderful
term called
opportunity
gematria.
to understand
Gematria is
all
the science
can
of coding
be synced
numbers
to
for alphabets.
give
This is
life
an ancient science present
a
in
right
all
direction
the
from
traditions,
where we can enjoy.
in all the languages across the world. And that is what is now known as numerology. Now, math is the language God used to write the universe. This is what the great people of the past have told. Like Galileo, he has emphatically said that God expresses his thoughts through numbers. Well, now the question is, gematria is there since long, but the mere practice of coding numbers and the alphabets, what significance does it have on me? That is a question that most of us have. Well, the very simple fact is, creation of every cell of your body is based on math, and especially if you see the pi value, all the alphabets, which are nothing but a symbol of the mathematical, all the alphabets are nothing but the symbols of mathematical qualities and not just quantities. We always are used in the present days to see numbers as reference or as referring to mere quantities. No, numbers can also mean quality. Well, the cells of our bodies, all the organelles within the cells, all are created in space by geometry. Geometry is inbuilt in our systems. We fail to recognize this. So, the gematria, the science of coding numbers for alphabets, or alphabets are actually coding for certain numbers. This is having a profound effect on the frequencies, which is again the basis of our life. The gematria is now directly understandable because the science of representation of numbers, that is, the alphabets and the frequencies by which we communicate and identify a particular person or a thing, is very much having a effect that we fail to recognize but which is invariably present. Here we are seeing how English alphabets, which are 26 in number, are encoded or they are structured in the hand's anatomy. We all know that we have 5 fingers in each hand, and the 5 fingers are actually made by tiny bones called phalanges, and these phalanges are joined together to give great suppleness and other beautiful movements that make humans unique, in that we can create with these beautiful structures called phalanges, which forms the hands. Now, if you count the number of phalanges in each hand, it is 14 in number. So together in the 2 hands we have 28 phalanges. Now, we know in the Bible it's stated that God made the universe in 6 days and rested on the 7th day. So in each hand we see that you can count from the thumb 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that the next phalange which comes in the middle finger mid phalanx is an empty space, and then we continue again like that 6 days, and then there is going to be a space, we go to the other hand. Similarly, you have one mid phalanx, middle finger mid phalanx is an empty space. So leaving the 2 empty space in the fingers in both hands, we have 13 phalanges in each hands for which an alphabet has been assigned. So what happens is you have 26 of the alphabets getting fit in the 26 phalanges that are remaining after the 2 phalanges we have given for the empty space. So all the alphabets from A to Z has been mapped for a clear understanding of how the alphabets are arranged, the English alphabets are arranged in the phalanges.
Infinite, irrational, and transcendental number. And so the question is, what's the big deal? Why do pi's decimal places not repeat? Why do we find infinity in such a simple geometric measure? What is all the fuss, and what does it mean to actually crack pi? We have this riddle that's attached to this ratio in mathematics, and most modern mathematicians actually see this as a riddle, as in we're going to look at the infinite digits of pi and we're going to find some sequence or pattern of numbers within these digits that's going to help us explain pi. But my opinion is that's not really what's being expressed when they were talking about cracking pi. What's really, in my opinion, pi is a number that was given to us by a creator as kind of something to focus on, because there was actually an answer in pi. And so we're gonna take a look at this ratio as we move on here. So now what I go on to say is that the number pi, or this 3.141, etc., is actually a reference to pi as the Holy Trinity. Now, the Holy Trinity is seen not only in Christianity as the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, which most people know, but it's also seen in Hinduism as well, with the Shiva, Brahman, and Vishnu. And you can even see there that symbol for the Om this is basically the vibratory essence in the Hindu mythology that created all the creation. And this is actually akin to God saying, "Let there be light." There was a word that was spoken. And of course, as we know in John 1:1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word." And so we know that there's some sort of sound that's being emanated. And you can see this Om in the Shiva, Brahman, and Vishnu in Hinduism is a 3, and there's a tail swirling off there, almost as if to say that this is a reference to pi, as in 3.14159, etc. Now, the Trinity is also pi, but it's also the first geometric form or polygon that can be created in two-dimensional space. 1 point is just a point; it can be infinitely large or infinitely small. 2 points is just 2 points, and you can connect them with a line. But it's only with 3 points, that 1, 2, 3, that you actually created the Trinity or the triangle, and that is the first geometric form in two-dimensional space that actually creates a plane or a space or a space for movement. Now, in sacred geometrical study, heaven was known as a circle, as a 3, and earth was known as a 4, as a square. And you also see this motif in Buddhism as well. They would build what's called a Buddha stupa, and they would use this motif in building in the Buddha stupa. So once again, we see that heaven, or that 3, is actually associated with heaven. And this 3 and 4 is actually a reference to the 3 Masonic square and compasses. You can see the compass, of course, there, and then the square. What does the square create? A square, of course, and then the compass obviously creates a circle. And so you have that 3 and 4 being played out right in the Freemasonic square and compasses. And of course, we know from Schoolhouse Rock, 3 is the magic number. 303 is the magic number. And then the Carpenter's Credo, of course, Jesus was a Jewish carpenter, but the Carpenter's Credo is actually measure twice and cut once. So it's asking you to do 3 things: measure twice and cut once. So once again, a reference to that 3 in the Holy Trinity. So what we're going to do is look at the 26 letters of the English alphabet, and what we're going to do is assign the numbers to the letters of the English alphabet. And this is once again called Gematria. Now, what we can do is, actually look at, since we're looking at the language of mathematics, and we're going to apply this language of mathematics to our English alphabet, of course, we can actually break this down and see that letters are actually defined as symbols. And so we can see that, A is it's a trinity. It's got 2 legs going off. A B is 2 semicircles. A C is a circle, and it's got it's cut, or it's broken in the middle there. And D, you have a semicircle once again, etc. And so we see that these letters are symbols, and we know, and just looking at them, we know that symbols were created with geometry. Now, we know that geometry has a relationship to number, or was created by number, or vice versa. And then we also saw that, according to Galileo and Plato, etc., Pythagoras, that number is a language. And so therefore, in order to understand our language, what we have to do is actually step outside of our language, and we need to look at that language mathematically. And so we can see that there's a relationship between the two because of the famous Pythagorean formula, of course. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we can see our ABCs are even in the Pythagorean formula. So, and we can actually go back to Galileo Galilei when he said, the universe cannot be read until we have learnt the language and become familiar with the characters in which it is written. It is written in a mathematical language, and the letters are triangles, circles, and other geometrical figures, without which means it is humanly impossible to comprehend a single word. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start to break down the cipher here. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to split our alphabet in half, and we're going to put that alphabet on our hands. And so we have the letters 13 letters and 13 letters each. We're going to split the 26 letters in half. So we have A through M, and then N through Z. And we can actually put those right on our hands. And the reason that we're going to put them on our hands, and the reason that we're splitting our alphabet, is just because we can take a look at this duality that we see within the human vessel. Starting from the top of your head, you see, your brain is separated. It's got the left and right hemispheres. You have 2 eyes, 2 nostrils. Your teeth are symmetrical. You have 2 shoulders, 2 breasts, 2 hands, etc., etc. And so we see this duality, and we see this all throughout nature. I mean, even the hemispheres of the earth. You have a northern and southern hemisphere. You look at a leaf, it's got a left and right side. You look at a bug, it's symmetrical, etc., etc. So we're going to take this philosophical, and
we have seen that the alphabets of the language of English is related to our hands. Now the next question is, what if alphabets are related to hands? How does it influence my life? Because I know that all the decisions that I take and my success, my personality, everything is dependent on the brain according to modern science. Can you correlate hand and brain? That is a common question everyone will have. That's fine. We have a clear-cut solution or a reference here. You can see that in the representation of different body parts in the brain, which we consider to be the most important control center of our entire body, we see that hand has been given a lot of place in the cerebral cortex, and that is very significant. You can see in the picture to your left that the face and then the hands are given the largest representation in the brain cortical areas, which also determines the motor activity or the control that particular organ has, and also how many fibers from that part goes to the brain. In both areas, hands, face and tongue are given maximum representation. You can see even the entire body, that is from the neck onwards, the trunk and legs, which are so huge in the real world, but in the brain cortical areas that is so less, it's represented so less. So if we have the English alphabets coded or structured in the phalanges of the hands, then you can understand that how much there is a link to the brain areas, and thereby this can influence the personality and all our activities, which determine success. This science of numerology assumes great importance because the mind of a man is the one which is a functional equivalent of the most important control center called brain. Now, in reverse engineering thinking, what the great philosophers and thought leaders have said is, we are consciousness. We are primarily consciousness beings reflecting ourselves in this physical world with images of bodies. If consciousness is the primary factor that is moving life, and if consciousness is life as per the so many millions of realized souls, the physical man, the scientific man of the current age may be totally wrong, because currently we are indoctrinated to understand the world from a physical point of view. Many of the scientists say that living is a reality expressed by the brain. No, the reality is actually expressing the brain, and brain is a reflection of a deeper, pure substance, life. Life does not evolve out of matter. In fact, matter seems to evolve out of consciousness, while all the time matter is nothing but life, and what we perceive as this difference says that much we are away from reality. The duality is a maya, as an illusion. The duality isn't there actually. It is an aberration in perception. The primary force that actually controls is what is expressed in the physical world. So, the frequencies are the real determinants of life, and if we can hold those frequencies, then we can easily go towards our goals. The hardship arises when we understand that the life is solid, life is fixed, life is physical. This awareness, this perception is the cause of all the problems. When we know frequencies are actually the determinants of life, tampering with frequencies or correcting the wrong frequencies with the knowledge, with the guidance of the realized souls is absolutely important and will result in a smooth flow of life. So, what we do is to understand in the first instance that names of individuals are divinely ordained from our past many experiences and karmas, and what we have is the net result of all our karmic actions, and the opportunity to think of correcting those names itself is something, a blessing that we couldn't have foreseen many years back. And most important now is to have the understanding of how it works beyond faith, to see practically how it works is the greatest blessing of the current times. And we are in possession of such knowledge with the evidence. That is what differentiates what we have here as neurology and numerology. It's something, a golden opportunity that we all should thank God for having been allowed to be at this point of time when science and religion has met.
Using all this knowledge, we at Celebrity Lifestyle Consultancy and UFA World have arrived at a comprehensive reset program. The program is brought to you by a panel of consultants headed by myself, with a unique experience granted by the Almighty in understanding modern medicine and the ancient Vedic medicine and the various cosmic leaks of truth that is occurring now. It's a great time where we are able to understand what is the secret behind all the ancient teachings. The Age of Enlightenment, spearheaded and pioneered by His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Ji, has opened our eyes to the immense flow of knowledge that is occurring in this age of enlightenment. We are most fortunate to use neurology in understanding numerology. And by this understanding, we are able to release the tags of parasciences, quackery, and hocus pocus attached to the divine science of numerology. The many incidental discoveries brought to light by various peoples across the world have helped us understand each and every word in the scriptures of various parts of the world, from the Holy Quran to the Holy Bible and the Holy Bhagavad Gita. We are able to relate a string that attaches all the truths and brings to light the way of the wise. What we are going to do is we take the ultimate knowledge that is now with the organization in Canada, the Kabbalian Philosophy Organization. They have a wonderful scanning technique to predict the mind of an individual based on his names and compare with the original purpose, that is the English date of birth, and this by far is the most accurate diagnosis of the flow of life of an individual. Combined along with the various other researchers, we are able to give a program that has the potential to change individuals for a happier and fruitful life. We include the world famous, most authentic, most ancient transcendental meditation technique for releasing the karmas, to erasing the karmas and assuring a beautiful life for the individual and the coherence group foundations for building the societies in a very, very coherent way. Along with, we utilize the many beautiful stress reduction techniques with biofeedback gadgets so that the individual is propelled towards the strength that he is born with. We invite well-intentioned, beautiful and lovely people of this age of enlightenment to take the benefits of such knowledge having been revealed in this age of enlightenment. Welcome to success, welcome to fulfillment, welcome to change from within.